Okay, so we're diving into Choose Your Enemies Wisely by Patrick Bet-David. And wow, this book, it really throws you for a loop. It's not your typical business book, you know.
It really isn't.
It's like he takes this whole idea of enemies and flips it on its head.
Yeah, it's kind of brilliant when you think about it. Most of us, we try to avoid enemies, right? But Bet David's saying, no, choose them wisely because they can actually be your greatest source of motivation.
Exactly. He
Yeah.
even tells this crazy story about this Christmas Eve party where a relative basically insults his father.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And that just lit a fire under him. It's like that anger, that desire to prove them wrong, it became the fuel for his entire entrepreneurial journey.
That's like they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Right.
Right. And I think that's what Bet David is getting at. These enemies, they can be people, they can be limiting beliefs. Heck, they can even be like societal injustices. But the point is, they can light that fire in your belly, push you beyond your comfort zone.
And he uses this great example of Nike and their slogan, "Just Do It," which, when you really think about it, it's like this direct challenge to all those inner voices saying, you can't, or it's too hard, or just give up.
It is. It's like he's saying, name those enemies, make them tangible.
Give them a face so you can fight back.
Exactly. And that's where I think his 12 building blocks come in.
Oh.
He gives you this framework for taking that raw emotion, that fire in your belly, and channeling it into a really powerful business plan.
Okay, so let's talk about these building blocks. Where do we even begin?
Well, he really emphasizes the importance of understanding your why. It's not enough to just want to be successful, right?
Right.
You need a deeper purpose, a driving force behind your actions. What problem are you solving? What impact do you want to have on the world?
And he really emphasizes finding that deeper meaning, doesn't he? He talks about how he was chasing money and success for a while, and it left him feeling kind of empty.
Yeah, he was like, is this it?
Exactly. And then he meets George Will, the conservative commentator.
Right.
And Will gives this really passionate speech about the problems facing America. And it's like something clicks for Bet David. He realizes he can use entrepreneurship to actually make a difference in the world.
To have a real impact.
Exactly. And that's when his business plan starts to take shape. He's not just chasing dollars anymore. He's driven by this mission to empower people through business, to promote economic freedom, and that becomes his driving force.
And it's funny how life works that way, right? Because he stumbles upon this whole other building block, this idea of dreams. And not just like, oh, I'm going to make a wish kind of dreams, but like really actively pursuing those audacious goals.
He's all about those vision boards, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. Vision boards, bucket lists, constantly asking yourself, imagine if one day.
And he even tells this funny story about how he visualized buying this yellow Hummer. He put it out there in the universe.
He did. He set a specific financial goal, made it tangible in his mind, and bam, he achieved it.
It's like he manifested that Hummer.
Right. But he also emphasizes that dreams without systems, well, they're not going to get you very far. He's a big believer in systems, in automating processes, gathering data.
He actually admits that he used to resist systems, right?
He did. He thought it was too rigid, too limiting for his personality.
Because he's such a creative guy.
Exactly. But then he realized that without systems, he was just constantly reinventing the wheel.
Wasting time, wasting energy.
Exactly. And he talked about how the movie Moneyball, that one with Brad Pitt about baseball, that was a turning point for him in understanding the power of systems.
It's about working smarter, not harder, right?
Absolutely.
And part of that is delegating tasks.
Oh, yeah.
But
He's a big proponent of that, especially those tasks that drain your time and energy without really adding a whole lot of value.
Mm.
He even suggests hiring a personal assistant early on to free yourself up to focus on the big picture.
So you're not bogged down by those day-to-day tasks. You can focus on strategy and vision.
Precisely. And speaking of vision, Bet David is a firm believer that a strong company culture is absolutely crucial for long-term success. And he's not just talking about, having a ping pong table in the break room.
Right. It's not just about perks, is it?
No, it's about shared values, rituals, traditions, those things that make people excited to be a part of something bigger than themselves.
He uses companies like Patagonia, TED, Tesla as examples, and they all have these very clearly defined missions, don't they?
They do. And those missions aren't just empty words on a website. They really are woven into the very fabric of the company culture.
And he gives that really interesting example of Skadden, that prestigious law firm, and how they pay attention to every little detail, from the office decor to the client dinners.
Oh, I remember that. It's about sending those subtle signals about your values and priorities, right?
It creates an environment where everyone's on the same page, working towards a common goal.
Absolutely. And Bet David walks the walk, too. He plays music in the office. He dresses up for company events. He's even been known to participate in a prank or two.
He sounds like a fun
He
boss.
does, right. But it's all part of creating a certain kind of atmosphere, a sense that work can be challenging and rewarding, and yes, even fun. And remember that time he offered top talent $500,000 salaries? Regardless of experience.
Bold move.
Right. But it sends a clear message. He's looking for the best of the best, people who are passionate, driven, and aligned with his vision.
So he's really putting his money where his mouth is.
Exactly. He's not afraid to invest in the right people. And speaking of surrounding yourself with the right people, Bet David talks a lot about the importance of building a strong inner circle. These are your trusted advisors, your confidants, those people you can bounce ideas off of, who will give you honest feedback and who will support you through thick and thin.
It's so crucial to have those people in your corner, isn't it?
It really is. He even provides a whole list of qualities to look for in your inner circle, things like loyalty, integrity, a willingness to tell you the truth even when it's hard to hear.
Because those are the people who are going to help you grow, right? They're not just going to tell you what you want to hear. They're going to challenge you to be better.
Exactly. And it's not just about receiving support, but also about recognizing and rewarding the right behaviors in others. Bet David is a big believer in positive reinforcement, in acknowledging not just results, but also the values and principles that drive those results.
It's about creating a culture of excellence where people are motivated by more than just money. They're driven by the desire to contribute to something truly meaningful.
And that brings us to another crucial element of Bet David's framework, vision. This is where your dreams and your mission kind of converge into a powerful roadmap for the future.
And he makes this really clear distinction between dreams and vision, doesn't he?
He does. Dreams are personal, he says, often with a defined timeline, whereas vision is something much bigger. It transcends both you and your business.
He uses IKEA as an example. Their vision is to create a better everyday life for many people. So simple, but so powerful.
It is. It sets a clear direction for the entire company, guiding everything they do.
And then there's Amazon, with their focus on being Earth's most customer-centric company. And that vision has continued even after Jeff Bezos stepped down as CEO.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes a vision so powerful. It's not tied to one person or even one specific goal. It's this overarching ambition that can continue to inspire and guide a company for years to come.
So how do we define our own vision? Where do we even begin?
Well, Bet David encourages us to think big, to envision the legacy we want to leave behind. And not just what we accomplish in our own lifetimes, but the impact we have on the world long after we're gone. He challenges us to think in terms of decades, not just quarters.
He's always pushing us to think bigger, isn't he?
He is. He wants us to tap into those audacious possibilities, to ask ourselves, imagine if one day, and really explore those what-ifs. He even shares some of his own visions, like imagine if entrepreneurship and financial literacy were taught in grade school.
Wow, that would be amazing.
Right. And I think that's what's so inspiring about Bet David's approach. He's not just giving us practical business advice. He's challenging us to dream bigger, to think differently, and to use our businesses as a force for positive change in the world.
And to do that, we need capital, right? The fuel that powers that vision.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Bet David is very upfront about that. Money is a necessary ingredient for achieving those audacious goals. He doesn't shy away from that.
So how do we go about securing that capital, especially when we're talking about funding these big, audacious visions?
Well, he stresses the importance of crafting a compelling narrative. It's not just about presenting investors with dry facts and figures. You have to connect with them on an emotional level, showcase your passion, your expertise, and your unwavering belief in your vision.
It's about telling a story, isn't it?
It really is. And Bet David breaks down the key elements of a killer investor pitch: clarity, conciseness, and a strong hook that grabs their attention right from the start.
And he encourages us to practice that pitch, right? To get comfortable talking about our vision.
Oh, absolutely. Practice it everywhere. In the shower, at the coffee shop, even waiting in line for a roller coaster. The more comfortable you are talking about it, the more confident and persuasive you'll be when it really matters.
And he's big on visuals, too. That whole pitch deck has to be top-notch.
Oh, absolutely. It's about painting a picture of the future, showcasing your unique value proposition, and highlighting those key metrics that get investors excited.
And we can't forget about anticipating those tough investor questions either.
Right. You have to be prepared to address those potential challenges head on, demonstrate your commitment to transparency and accountability.
It's about building trust, isn't it?
Exactly. It's about building a partnership based on mutual trust and shared goals, not just a transactional exchange of money for equity.
And that's where a strong company culture comes in again, right?
Absolutely. Bet David believes that a strong company culture is one of the most attractive things to both talent and capital.
It's about creating an environment that resonates with people's values and aspirations, making them excited to be a part of something bigger than themselves.
And that ties into another key point that Bet David makes, the importance of aligning your personal values with your business principles.
Because that alignment creates a really strong foundation, doesn't it?
It does. It ensures that your business operates with integrity, transparency, and a genuine desire to make a positive impact.
And Bet David is very open about his own core values, things like radical open-mindedness, treating the company's money like his own, creating a culture where everyone feels valued and supported.
He really walks the walk.
Mm.
And I think that's what makes his message so powerful. It's not just about achieving success for success's sake. It's about building something meaningful, something that aligns with your values and makes a real difference in the world.
So I've got the passion, the vision, the capital. Now we just have to execute, right?
Exactly. And that's where the rubber really meets the road. Bet David is adamant about this. Execution is key. It's about moving beyond the theoretical and into the practical.
So how do we do that? How do we take these big, audacious goals and actually make them happen?
Well, Bet David suggests breaking those goals down into manageable steps. Create systems, assign roles, set clear deadlines.
So it's about creating a roadmap, a step-by-step plan for achieving that vision.
Exactly. He also stresses the importance of collaboration. It's not about dictating the plan from the top down, but involving your team in the process, getting their feedback, empowering them to take ownership of their roles.
And celebrating those wins along the way.
Right, absolutely. Acknowledging milestones, recognizing individual contributions, those are all part of building a culture of positive reinforcement, which is crucial for maintaining momentum and keeping your team motivated.
Because let's face it, building a business is hard work. There are going to be setbacks, there are going to be challenges.
There will be. And that's where resilience comes in.
So how do we stay resilient in the face of those challenges? How do we keep going when things get tough?
Well, Bet David emphasizes the importance of having a strong support system, both within our businesses and in our personal lives. He encourages us to seek out mentors, advisors, and peers who can offer guidance, support, and accountability along the way. He also stresses the importance of honoring our word, both to ourselves and to others. It's about building trust, establishing credibility, and demonstrating our commitment to following through on our promises.
Because ultimately, our word is our bond. And when we consistently deliver on those promises, we not only build a strong reputation for ourselves, but we also inspire those around us to do the same. And that's how we create a ripple effect of positive change, both in our businesses and in the world around us.
And it's not just about having a great product or service, right? It's about building that emotional connection, that sense of shared purpose.
It's like people want to be part of a movement, something better than themselves.
Exactly. And Bet David really emphasizes that in the book. He talks about how even with all his success, he still uses those enemies as motivation.
You mean like those people who doubted him early on?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But also he sees those enemies as anything that pushes him to be better, to grow. So it could be competition. It could be challenging goals he sets for himself. It could even be those moments of self-doubt that creep in from time to time.
So it's about reframing those negative thoughts, those challenges, and using them as fuel to propel you forward.
Exactly. And, it's interesting because he even talks about how Tom Brady, the legendary quarterback, uses this mindset. Even with all those Super Bowl rings, Brady constantly seeks out new challenges, new enemies to push him further.
It's like he thrives on that competition, that pressure to prove himself.
Precisely. He never allows complacency to set in. He's always looking for ways to up his game, to stay ahead of the curve. And I think that's a really important lesson for anyone striving for success in any field.
It's about having that growth mindset, right? Always striving to learn, to improve, to be the best version of yourself.
Absolutely. And you know who else embodies this? Elon Musk. Think about it. He's constantly battling limitations, facing skepticism, disrupting entire industries. He seems to thrive on those conflicts, on proving the doubters wrong.
It's like he invites those challenges in, knowing they'll push him to achieve even greater things.
And that's what Bet David is getting at. This willingness to embrace conflict, to confront challenges head on, It's a key difference between those who simply want success and those who achieve those really audacious goals. But he also cautions that you have to be strategic about it.
What do you mean? So not all enemies are created equal.
Exactly. It's about choosing your battles wisely. Bet David provides a whole framework for evaluating your enemies, making sure they're worthy adversaries that are pushing you in the right direction.
So how do we know if we've chosen the right enemies? What are the signs?
Well, Bet David says, ask yourself this. Does this enemy push me to be better? Does it force me to innovate and up my game? Or does it leave me feeling drained and defeated?
That's a great question to ask because some challenges can really drain your energy while others light that fire within you.
Exactly. And a worthy opponent, it should ultimately make you stronger, more resilient. It should challenge you to grow and evolve, not hold you back.
Mhm.
And, even healthy competition can be a valuable enemy.
Oh, absolutely. I've always found that having competitors in my field pushes me to be more creative, more innovative.
Me too. And Bet David encourages us to really study our competitors, understand their strengths, their weaknesses, how they operate. He even tells this funny story about how he used to call up his competitors pretending to be a potential customer, just to get the inside scoop on their sales tactics.
He's so dedicated to understanding the competition. I love that.
He is. But that's the point. It's about being proactive, anticipating your competitors' next moves, and developing counter strategies. You can't just rest on your laurels. You have to stay ahead of the game.
It's like that old saying, the best defense is a good offense.
Exactly. And it's not just about those immediate rivals either. Bet David encourages us to look at the bigger picture, those emerging trends, new technologies, even shifts in consumer preferences.
So it's about staying agile, adaptable, and being willing to pivot when necessary, because the business world moves fast.
You got it. It's a constantly evolving landscape, so you have to be ready to adapt and adjust your course along the way.
So we've talked about identifying those worthy enemies and using them as fuel for growth. Now, how do we actually channel that energy effectively?
Well, that's where having a solid plan comes in. And Bet David emphasizes that a truly powerful business plan needs to have both logic and emotion.
Okay, that's interesting. So it's not just about having a bunch of spreadsheets and projections.
Nope. Those are important, don't get me wrong. But you also need that fire in your belly, that passion that will sustain you through the inevitable challenges and setbacks.
It's about finding that sweet spot where your head and your heart align, right?
Mhm.
Where your passion meets practicality.
Exactly. And a key part of that is defining your mission. And this goes beyond just wanting to make money or be successful. It's about identifying the deeper why behind your business. What problem are you solving? What impact do you want to have on the world? What gets you up in the morning?
It's like Simon Sinek says, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
I love that quote because it's so true. Your why is your driving force. It's what will keep you going when things get tough, and it's what will inspire others to join your movement.
So how do we tap into that why? How do we articulate it in a way that resonates with both ourselves and others?
Well, Bet David encourages us to really explore our values, our passions, our experiences. What are we uniquely positioned to offer the world? What kind of legacy do we want to leave behind? And once we have a clear understanding of our why, we need to communicate it effectively, especially to potential investors.
Because investors are looking for more than just a good return on their investment, aren't they? They want to be part of something meaningful, something that aligns with their own values.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Bet David provides a whole framework for crafting a compelling investor pitch that connects on both a logical and emotional level.
So it's about telling a story that captures their imagination, that makes them feel something, right?
Exactly. It's about showcasing your passion, your expertise, and your unwavering belief in your vision. Because ultimately, people invest in people, in those who inspire them, who make them believe in the possibility of something truly extraordinary.
And that's where building a strong company culture comes in, right? Because investors can sense when a team is truly aligned, when they're all rowing in the same direction with a shared sense of purpose.
100%. And Bet David is a firm believer that a strong company culture is one of the most important ingredients for long-term success. It's not just about having a cool office or offering great perks. It's about creating an environment where everyone feels valued, heard, and empowered to contribute their unique talents.
So it's about fostering that sense of belonging, that shared purpose that goes beyond just showing up for a paycheck.
Exactly. And it all starts with the leader setting the tone, walking the walk, and embodying those core values.
And Bet David is a great example of this. Remember that story he told about offering top talent $500,000 salaries, regardless of their experience? That speaks volumes about his commitment to attracting and retaining the best and brightest.
Right. It sends a clear message that he values talent, ambition, and a shared commitment to the company's vision. And it's not just about the money, either. It's about creating a culture where people feel appreciated, challenged, and inspired to do their best work.
So it's about creating an environment where everyone feels like they're part of something special, something that truly matters.
And that's what makes Bet David's approach so compelling. It's not just about achieving success for success's sake. It's about building something meaningful, something that aligns with your values and makes a real difference in the world. And that, I think, is something we can all aspire to.
It's so powerful to hear those stories of resilience, of overcoming obstacles and coming out stronger on the other side.
It's like those challenges, those enemies, they forge something within us.
They refine us like gold in a fire.
Exactly. And it reminds us that we all have that capacity for growth, for resilience, for achieving those audacious goals, even when the going gets tough.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Choose Your Enemies Wisely, what are some key takeaways you hope our listeners will carry with them?
Well, I hope they really take to heart this idea that challenges, those enemies, they can be incredible sources of motivation and growth. It's not about shying away from them, but about leaning in, using them as fuel to propel us forward.
So it's about reframing our perspective, seeing those challenges as opportunities rather than obstacles.
Exactly. And remember Bet David's advice. Choose those enemies wisely. Make sure they're pushing you in the right direction, challenging you to up your game, not just dragging you down.
It's about being intentional with our energy, focusing on those battles that will ultimately make us stronger.
And don't forget about the importance of vision. Having that clear sense of purpose, that why that drives you, it's essential for navigating those challenges and staying motivated along the way.
Because when you're passionate about what you're doing and you believe in the impact you're making, those obstacles become stepping stones, not roadblocks.
I love that, stepping stones, because it's so true. Each challenge we overcome, it brings us one step closer to realizing our vision.
And remember, we don't have to do it alone. Bet David emphasizes the importance of building a strong support system, surrounding ourselves with people who share our values and have our backs.
Absolutely. Find those mentors, those advisors, those trusted friends and colleagues who will support you, challenge you, and celebrate your victories along the way.
Because when we lift each other up, we all rise together.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And as we close out this deep dive, I hope our listeners feel inspired and empowered to embrace those enemies, to harness their energy, and to create something truly extraordinary.
So go out there, choose your enemies wisely, and let them fuel your fire. This has been an incredible conversation. Thank you so much for joining me today.
The pleasure was all mine.